would folks have known that you were struggling at the time of your darkest days without you explicitly telling them that you were?
That's a hard one because like you already said, the isolation, that's always like the first sign is because, when you get in that dark hole, you don't feel like anyone can help you. You don't feel like there's any way out. The feeling of depression is so hard to really explain all of the feelings of it because it is just so heavy. And by the time it engulfs you completely, you don't even know that you're there, Like now I can kind of see when my depression is starting to come. I know that I don't want to get out of bed. I don't even feel like doing my basic, hygiene. I don't feel like doing anything. Nothing matters. Everything has no value. But that could also just be, a monthly thing, with a woman's cycle. So sometimes it's kind of trying to
Mm,
figure out which one is real, is my brain playing tricks on me? And even that can be exhausting, just in its own. And so I find that I isolate, I don't talk to people. I just give them like surface value replies or, um, but the isolation is the biggest, And of course, I did have friends that would reach out and say, "Hey, I haven't heard from you in a few days. Just wanted to check in." And, I would still not talk to them either. But when I was like actually really suicidal, I would drink during these times. So eventually
mm,
a phone call will come and I would be belligerent. I would just be talking or not making any sense, no, not coherent at all. And those situations that got to the extreme led to two suicide attempts. But I was under the influence
mm.
both times when those happened. And I think that obviously had a lot to do with it because now, in my right state of mind, completely sober, I would never want to leave. I would never want to opt out on this experience that is life. I would never want to hurt the people that are near me. And even once I would sober up after those attempts, um, I felt horrible, for the things I did to my mom, the people I hurt,
Mm.
just the whole experience, um, and so that kind of makes you also see things a little differently. But I would just look for, that isolation and just be very persistent, even if that person doesn't really reply or doesn't give you back a quick response, show up, pop up, just let them know that you're there because they feel like no one is there. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your mom's got to be super proud of you.
Oh
I
yeah,
would imagine,
listen, she's a
right?
queen. I'm just trying to be like her, okay? She's done so much. But yeah, she is so sweet and so proud. She told me, when I moved to Tulsa, she's like, "You don't have any kids, you don't have a husband. The worst thing that could happen is that you got to come home. So go, experience, try it out." So she's very
Yeah.
uplifting.
Th- that's awesome. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Last question
Okay.
I have for you, Danae. For someone who's sitting there and listening to this, man, woman, other, whatever, and they're realizing there are just aspects of my life that are unmanageable. I think it's because of the alcohol, but I don't necessarily know what the first step could be in me moving in a different direction. What would you suggest to that person?
We kind of talked about this. It's definitely going to be go see a medical professional. Of course, have a conversation with yourself. They've got all these questionnaires online that you can do to check out your. But I think the biggest thing is to sit down with the person who is the closest to you, whether it's your wife, your husband, your mom, whoever that person is, and ask them what do they think because no one knows you better than
Mm,
the person that's close to you. We hurt the people that are close to us the most. And it's just because there's that familiarity. We know them. We know that they're supposedly going to love us no matter what we do to them. And so that person should be able to be raw and honest with you. And I think once you do that, it'll give you more of a idea of what's going on with your drinking. And then take it to a medical professional like your PCP, a counselor, and just say, "I think I'm drinking too much, but I'm not really sure what to do next." And that medical professional will take it from there. They really will, hopefully.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, bringing it to someone that you trust is I have asked this question a handful of times to this point, and I don't know if I've ever gotten that answer. And I think that that's almost as impactful as being honest with yourself, is being honest with the people who you love and who you know love
Hmm.
you, because it takes a certain amount of true vulnerability to be able to bring that conversation to the table, especially if you're
Right.
struggling. So I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, and
Thanks
it
for
gives them
sharing.
accountability because, that's really what you need in your sobriety. You can say, I think I have a problem out loud to yourself, but when you say it to other people, now it's real. It's a real fucking thing.
Yep.
And they will hopefully hold you accountable and you hold yourself.
Yeah, love it. Danae,